Well, I'm going to be talking about different pouches for different calibers, different ammo pouches for different calibers. This is what I do. The last thing you want to do is have 3 guns in different calibers that all look the same and pick up the wrong magazine for the gun you have in your hand. So if I see a hog out in the backyard and I'm going to get my 300 blackout and it looks just like my 22 long rifle and I happen to pick up the wrong mag because I'm not paying attention, it causes problems, okay? So my friends at Syntex Tactical Gear, they've got a bunch of great surplus and new equipment. And what I did was I brought in a few different ammo pouches that they have in different patterns. So let's say you got 3 AR rifles that all look the same, but they have different calibers. Let's say a 22 long rifle, 5.56, or 300 blackout. They all look the same, right? So this is how I identify them. I don't know if you can see this in the video. If we're streaming live, you can go to aaronsgunshop.com and check it out. I think it should be streaming live. If not, we'll have the YouTube videos up in a day or so. But I've got 3 different camo patterns here in front of me. And I've got 2 different types of ammo pouches. You can see in the video, I've got the ACU pattern, I've got the woodland camo, and I've got the desert. Help me out there, John. That's 1991, right? They use that in Gulf War II?
We use that in Iraq. No, I have one.
Okay. Well, we got 3 different patterns. One's desert, one's woodland, one's ACU. Then I've got the other pouches that are bandoliers that hold 3 magazines each. So what I do, since I'm an old war vet, okay, I use my woodland camo because that's what I went into the military with. I use woodland camo. This is what I'm going to use for my 5.56. So I'm going to put my 5.56 extra mag in this single pouch. Then I'm going to have 3 extra mags in this bandolier. So when I have my rifle leaning up against the wall and I need to take out my 5.56, I say, well, woodland camo, there it is. I pick up my extra mag, and depending on the situation, if I've got a whole herd of hogs out there and I might need some backup ammo, I'll take out my bandolier of 3 mags as compared to just the 1. So I'm going to have 1 mag in the gun. I've got the 1 mag for backup, and if I think I'm going to be out there for a long period of time, I'm going to have 3 mags as well. This one's woodland camo. Another one I've got is the desert camo, and I probably put in there my 300 blackout. And I'll do the same thing. If I need the 300 blackout, just an extra mag, I use 1 pouch. If I need a bandolier, I've got 3. So I've got them all color coordinated. And then lastly, I've got one I use for my 22 long rifle AR platform. I've got the single mag pouch, and then I've got the 3 mag pouch bandolier, all depending on how long I'm going to be out, how much shooting I'm going to do. But it's nice to have it handy. I don't have to worry about mix matching my rifles and my ammo. It's a good way to color coordinate. And if this is something that you think would work for you, what I would recommend you do is go to Syntex Tactical Gear and look at all the different types of stuff they have. This is all MOLLE gear. You can put it on your vest, attach it to your belt. You can turn them into belt loops and just put them on your belt directly. And they've got a whole bunch of other accessories that can go with it too. So I highly recommend you go to syntextacticalgear.com or go to their location on West Adams in Temple. They're open right now. Check them out and tell them you heard it on this radio show, and buy yourself some good goodies. I think you have a lot of fun, and the prices are right. So we're going to end it there. Go to syntextacticalgear.com. Now, what's nice about what we just talked about is, in my topic of interest, I've got a guest on from Black Jack Firearms, and we got John Ferguson here. John, why don't you scoot into the camera shot here and say hello to everybody?
How you doing, Matt?
You're doing pretty good. It's glad to have you on again. John, we were talking about different calibers. I think I kind of mentioned, you either mentioned something to me first or I mentioned it to you, which made me bring on these mag pouches. But this segues into it really well. I just described how I separate my calibers so I don't mix them up. And here you are, you're going to talk about different calibers for the AR platform and all the different types of calibers you can do. And since you're the man, okay, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to bjfirearms.biz and check out his business. He's got a great place there. He does fantastic jobs on building and creating ARs and AKs and Cerakoting and all that. So whatever you want, you can check it out. And he's got contact information on his website. But right now I'm going to give it to John, and I'm going to cut in from time to time asking questions. But he's going to be talking about the different calibers that can go on the AR platform. It's a very versatile type of weapon. So go ahead, John.
All right, Matt. So we do several different calibers. The main ones that we produce for people, because it's on custom orders when somebody says, hey, I want to go out and hunt deer in West Texas, or I want to hunt deer in Central Texas, or I want to use it for self-defense, whatever. We work on different calibers. The main ones that we've built are 5.56, 6.8 SPC, and 300 Blackout. We have worked with other calibers, but when I was researching for this segment, I looked up, and there's about 35 different calibers that people build barrels for, or bolt carrier groups, and all sorts of stuff that you can load into an AR.
Yeah, we were just at the gun show, and somebody came up with a 17.
710 Remington Magnum.
And I'm thinking, like, wow, I didn't even know they could do that, but go ahead.
Yes. So, in the rimfire cases, you got, of course, 22 long rifle. You got 17 HMR, 17 Winchester Super Magnum, and 22 Magnum. Okay. Now, I've got a 20.
They got 22 Magnum, too?
They've got 22 Magnum. Now, you're going to have to get special magazines for that.
But I'm sure you can get that, right?
I'd have to do some searching, but I'm sure
well,
if they're made, we can get them.
Okay.
I mean, we get a lot of stuff. I scratch my head sometimes at gun shows when people ask for things. And
I'm digging like, 22 Magnum. I really am, because I got the mini revolvers, and I've got the Kel-Tec 22 Mag. I just like it. Lightweight, and it gets the job done.
Yeah, but now I've got 22 long rifle conversion kit I use myself. Back when 22 long rifle was 3 cents a round, and it's just you pull out the bolt carrier group, you slide in the new one, and then use 22 long rifle magazines, and it's great. I know there's people who have had to tell me they have issues with them. I've never had an issue with mine. Mine fires everything. Now, it does foul up the weapon a lot, so you do have to clean it and you do have to oil it while you're shooting, but I've never really had issues.
Isn't that why the argument goes it's better to get a dedicated 22 because it doesn't really foul up the way the conversion fouls up?
That is one of the things that people say. So, and then you can get an upper. Chiappa makes a nice 22 long rifle upper that's only about $100 more than the bolt carrier exchange. So, so it says you can spend $175 and get the bolt carrier group with a magazine, or you can spend about $275 and get a dedicated upper. Not to
keep cutting you off, but these thoughts keep coming into my mind. What's so cool about the ability to change the caliber is the ability to not have to think about a new type of gun that you're using.
Right. And the beauty actually of the 22 long rifle versus the 5.56 is out to about 25 meters. The point of aim is about the same. I've taken my scope off my 5.56 and put it onto my 22 long rifle.
Oh, wow, really?
And at 25 meters, it's hitting right on.
Fantastic.
So, and you're not really going to shoot much past 25 meters with a 22 long rifle anyway. So,
well, you can. You got great capabilities.
You do have abilities,
but you're not. I would guess that you can only shoot at certain things. That's why I have the variety that I do.
Right.
If it's small game, rabbits, snake, or coyotes, I may use my 22.
Right.
If it gets bigger than that, I go larger.
Right. Now, one thing with the 22 also, when my kids were younger, I put in the 22 conversion, and I'd come back from Iraq, and they would be like, "Hey, Dad, what's some of the stuff that you learned how to do with this stuff?" So I'd actually teach my kids reflexive fire and stuff with a 22 long rifle.
Yeah, that's great.
They loved it. We'd set up clay pigeons down in the, out there, and the kids would sit there and practice reflexive fire with an AR on 22 long rifle.
I want to make mention too, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot to mention John is a war vet. He's done a great job. He served his country well, and we're proud to have him in here. So we just want to thank you for your service, John.
You're welcome. So moving on from the rimfire cartridges, you got the 17 Remington, which basically is a 222 Magnum case with a 17 caliber bullet put into it. And that's going to push a bullet out at about 4,400 feet per second.
Ooh, there you go. Pretty flat, right?
Oh, and it's flat shooting. And gets good out to about 400 meters.
Now explain to somebody why, when we say it's pretty flat, why that's good.
Well, you don't have to take your sights off of your target. You can, if it's shooting flat, you can keep your sights on your target the whole time.
Point of aim is point of aim.
Point of aim, right. Okay. And 17 Remington is very popular in heavy barreled ARs for people who are going to be hunting groundhogs and things like that. And especially when you're hunting something that small, you don't really want to be aiming 3 feet above the target.
Exactly.
And you won't even see the target. You're just, so it's nice.
We're talking trajectory of the round, so it's going so fast it doesn't have time to drop. So you're able to just sight in what you're looking at, and the bullet should impact right at that spot. So,
right.
All right. Go ahead.
Now there's another one. It's called the 17 by 223, which basically they took a 223 case and necked it down to 17
This wasn't
caliber.
Fast enough for him, was it?
Well, and I'm not really understanding that one. The 17 Remington's been out for a long time. 222 Magnum and 223 cases will both use the same magazine. So I'm really not sure with the 17 by 223 what you're actually picking up, other than if you want to use surplus 223 brass and neck it down yourself. I don't know.
I guess the answer is because you can.
Yeah, I guess so. So the next one is the 204 Ruger. Now, 204 Ruger takes a 20 caliber
Is that
or
that one?
no.
Okay.
I don't have one of those here, but it's a 5mm bullet, and you put it into a 222 Magnum case, and it's cooking a 20 caliber bullet out there at 4,200 feet per second.
Gosh, man.
So, and that's actually become quite popular. There's a lot of varmint hunters who are using that one now. And again, it'll use standard AR magazines.
Which is great because you got your regular AR and you just take the top off.
Yeah, you're not having to get a new bolt carrier group or anything like that.
Right.
Everything's the same. Okay, of course, then you got the standard 5.56. Okay, and with that, you got its sister cartridge, the 223. Now, real quick, if you get a rifle that the barrel is marked 223, do not fire 5.56 shells through it. Dimensionally, they're almost identical. The 5.56 shell, however, puts out about 50% more PSI than the 223. So you can fire 223 ammo through a 5.56 all day long. You're not going to have problems. You start firing 5.56 through a 223, you have a chance of having a catastrophic failure with that weapon. Okay, so
now I gotta ask because I know people have been doing this.
People have been doing it for years,
and nothing that you have heard about has been that catastrophic. So is that just a major precaution?
It's a major precaution because if I see something marked 223, I'm not going to run 5.56 through it. I mean, you're talking about the difference between about 54,000 PSI is the max PSI rated for the 223 and 78,000 PSI, which is what the 5.56 is.
Now, I'm not making light of this at all, but
Right.
what I'm getting at is there's going to be so many people who have not heard this, what you just said.
Right.
And they're going to get a handful of ammo and they're going to shoot it through their gun. And we're thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to have major problems. Because you know that people are shooting that.
Oh, I'll tell you what. If you fire 5.56 ammo through a 223, you're probably going to be able to go a lifetime without any issues. But if anything ever happens, then that that's catastrophic, and that gun manufacturer is going to wipe their hands of that one and say, you are firing stuff.
All right, so you heard it here. You heard it here. If you have if you're going to buy an AR, make sure it's in 5.56. This way it'll cover both ends. Go ahead.
Right, and that's the only thing we build. We don't build 223 ARs just because of that.
I don't know why they did that in the first place, but go ahead.
Okay. So now the next thing that's interesting, I've never actually seen one of these, but it's interesting, is you remember about 10 years ago, Winchester came out with those super short magnums.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the 243 and the 25 caliber Winchester super short magnums will both fit dimensionally into an AR magwell.
Well, sure. Why not do it then?
That's right. So if you want to get the barrel and you want to get a custom built bolt carrier group, I've never seen a.
It's like I told you, everybody. John's got his business. It's like a restaurant. He's got a menu. You can pick what you want. Go ahead.
So then the next thing, and this is an interesting one. The Sharps company up in South Dakota has come up with the 25-45 Sharps. And they actually just came out with that this past summer. Okay. They took a 5.56 case and they opened it up to 25 caliber. You might ask why? Well, apparently there's 8 states in the country where you cannot use 22 caliber bullets on big game.
Gotcha.
And so
there's always a way around it.
Right? And so they opened, but 25 caliber is the minimum that you can use in those states.
Okay, so there's definitely an application for those caliber rounds. Okay.
Now, it's a 5.56 case, so that means you can use your 5.56 magazines, your bolt carrier group. Only thing you need is a new barrel. Okay? And Sharps Company is, I was checking out their webpage yesterday, and they said that they're going to be having those barrels out soon. So if somebody wanted that, that is an option.
You know, as a note, we need to talk about in the future bolt carrier groups and how you can the bolt carrier group. The bolt carrier can fit many different types of bolts, so we need to talk about that in the future.
Okay. The next one is the 277 Wolverine. Again, they took a 5.56 case, they opened it up to 6.8 millimeter, so it's 27 caliber, and it's pushing that out at 2,500 feet per second. All right.
Good.
So the next one is 30 carbine. Not really sure why you'd do that. The M1 is a nice little rifle, but and again, you'd have to get that one. You're going to have to do new bolts, and everything else. That's more of the pistol cartridges, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
All right.
Okay. The next one is the 30 Remington AR. Remington decided that they wanted to have a cartridge that they could put in their rifles, their R15s, and they developed the 30 Remington. And really, that's the only one that fits in. So they have special magazines that they own. They're the only ones that are selling them. They're single stack. And
so the demand for that gun is out there for sure, but it's definitely a small group of people depending on your circumstance. So it's just to know, because for the lack of time we have here, if there's something out there you want, there's probably something out there you can get. And if you can get it, John can get it, and he can square you away pretty good. So, John, because we're running out of time, why don't you talk about what we got here?
Well, real quick, going on, what I brought in were some samples of the most popular cartridges. Like I said, we got the 300 Blackout, which is basically a 5.56 cartridge opened up to 30 caliber.
I like it very much.
Ballistically, you're getting a 30-30. The beauty of the 300 Blackout is you can get heavy bullets in there, up to 225 grains. And there's a company, the original one was the 300 Whisper, which is almost identical. They actually are interchangeable. 300 Whisper is the quietest center fire rifle cartridge built. And I know I've built several of those for people who've gotten suppressors. They tell me they have air rifles that are louder than those things that are going off.
I changed mine. I had a 6.8, and I changed it for the 300 just because I like the concept of how the magazines and the bolt carrier group was all the same. So
now the 6.8 is built on the 254 Roberts case, and they put a 6.8 millimeter bullet in it, and that one is that one's more for long range. If you're going to shoot 600, 700 yard shots, then that's it. Here in Central Texas, is really not something we need, but I do build them for people who are hunting down in South Texas and West Texas.
That's the one reason I changed from the 6.8 to the 300, because I knew my range, what I would be shooting at, and I liked the interchangeability of the parts. Now, what can you answer real quick? What's the difference between the SPC 6.8 SPC and the Grendel?
The 6.8 SPC was actually designed by the U.S. Special Forces. Okay, there was a master sergeant in the Special Forces who actually designed it because he wanted something that they could use in Afghanistan that would give them the 600-yard shots, 800-yard shots, and have better terminal velocity. At the same time, Alexander Arms was developing the 6.5 Grendel, and what they wanted to do is they took a 7.62 by 39 case, necked it down to 6.5 millimeter, and that's why you got the 6.5 Grendel.
Got it.
So now you can actually make 6.5 Grendels out of your own 7.62 by 39 brass,
which would bring up that you can start converting your AKs to these different calibers too, because the
that was actually one of the things that they were looking at doing, was building a 6.5 millimeter AK.
Got it.
The last thing, real quick, I know we're skipping a bunch of the cartridges, but people talk about building pistol caliber ARs. Okay, you can do 9 millimeter, 40 cal, you can do 30 carbine, you can do 45 ACP, and 10 millimeter. There's really three different ways to go about that. There's a couple of companies that are building dedicated lowers to a specific caliber, and the magwell is designed for specific magazines. They're usually either Uzi magazines, grease gun magazines, or Glock magazines. The other option is there's companies that build an insert that goes into your AR magwell. And then that block goes in, and then you can just use.
See, I don't like that concept. I mean, you're working on a gun for me right now, and the whole reason I wanted the dedicated lower part of it was because I didn't want the block that goes in the magwell, because it's just one other part that it's got moving parts and it causes me problems. That's my personal opinion.
Right. The other problem with those is every one of those I've ever seen.
We're talking about the block.
Yeah, everyone I've ever seen with the block in it. You have to change out your hammer. They require a different hammer. I'm not exactly sure why, but you always have to buy the hammer and change it out.
Okay, so what other problem with that situation? All right.
So the last thing, the other thing is, the last option is Olympic Arms builds this neat little upper, and it just snaps right on. There's no change out of any of the hammer. It uses a standard hammer. You don't put a block in, but you have to use their proprietary magazines.
Okay.
But that's the simplest way to actually have a multi-caliber rifle. Now,
that's with the blocks. This way you don't have to.
You don't have a block on it. There's no block on the Olympic Arms. The magazines are straight mags. They're the same dimensions, outside dimensions as a 5.56 mags.
Gotcha. Okay.
but they hold pistol cartridges.
Pistol cartridges. That would sound like the best way to go, like you just said, because you don't have to jack with your...
Yeah, that's one I always suggest people get if they're going to do that. The benefit to that one also is, like I said, you don't have to change out the hammer or anything. And, you know, you're not messing with your lower. So now anytime you're messing with the pistol cartridges, one thing to remember is they're not gas operated. These things are all going to be blowback.
Blowback, right.
And so, you know, the recoil operated, so you're not going to get the fouling coming back from the gas of a direct gas impingement. You don't have to have the weight of a piston over your barrel. There's lots of benefits to it.
It's cheaper to shoot, too.
Yeah, it's cheaper to shoot. 9mm ammo is,
right.
You know, you can get 50 rounds of 9mm for the price of 20 rounds of 5.56.
All right, well, John, look, this is awesome information for anybody who's interested in building an AR platform with multiple calibers or adding to what they already have. If they have an AR, they can add to it as compared to building it from the ground up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm having him work on something for you now. I'm excited about it. You can do the same thing by going to bjfirearms.biz, checking out his website, give him a call, ask him to help you out. John, you got anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, just, you know, the AR is a fun rifle, and there's tons of accessories, tons of options out there. You can personalize this thing to yourself or to any need that you might have for it.